All right, so this is a suggestion via Patreon. The name of the video is why African Americans leave Africa after moving there. Guys, I can just honestly tell you what it is as someone who's lived outside of America for over a decade. Guys, whatever you think it is in America, it's not compared to anywhere else, right? I'm not saying it's, everything is perfect and rosy. You get what I mean here, guys? But whatever you think it is, it's not. And also creature comforts. So that's probably number one, bro. But either way, let's check it out.
2019 marked the year of return and 400 years since the arrival of the first slaves to the U.S. This coincided with the call for African Americans to return to their homelands. And since then, thousands of Black Americans have in fact been paying heed to the call and making the move to Africa. Most of the diaspora have been moving to Ghana.
Right. A lot of the reason this is most likely is because they're the ones that are offering like free citizenship for Black Americans that want to come back to Africa.
But many others have also moved to places like Senegal, Ethiopia,
Uganda,
Nigeria, Rwanda, and South Africa. The reasons for leaving the U.S. transcend an ancestral calling. For many, it's the fractured race relations and an existential trauma that exists in the African American psyche since slavery. This all came to a boiling point after the murder of George Floyd in 2020. For many, it was a wake-up call that America wasn't really where they belong, and so they packed their bags in search of more welcoming lands. For many, their new home in Africa was blissful. A warmer climate, a lower cost of living, better quality food, and a sense of belonging, without the day-to-day challenges of both subtle and more overt racism that confronted them in America. However, not everybody had the soft landing they were hoping for. In this video, we'll look at why some African Americans end up returning to the U.S. after making the move to Africa. We've found that there are 4 main reasons. Keep watching until the end, as reason number 4 will surprise you. First up, no jobs.
Really quickly, if you are someone specifically Black American from America, guys, and you're looking to go to basically anywhere in Africa, the no jobs part of it is real. How about this here, guys? Well, it's not, you're going to find work if you want to find work, but you understand this here, you're going to have to live like the people in the area, right? Just understand that. Like, if you can deal with that, then you're going to find work as an American. Just, I'm telling you, that's just a real thing. But the overall goal is to earn American money and live there. Because if you're not making American money, then, I mean, bro, you're going to have to kind of downgrade every single aspect of your life. Get ready for that. In certain places, I'm not saying all places, because there are absolutely beautiful places in Africa, guys. The entire, like, all over the continent, dotted. You get what I mean here? You understand, hopefully. But you're going to have to make outside money. Definitely work remote.
Many African Americans hold the misconception that when they arrive in whichever African country they move to, that they'll be able to easily get a job. This simply isn't the case. Unlike the U.S., jobs in most African countries are scarce, with unemployment rates sometimes being as high as 50%.
A lot of that is education oriented, though, guys.
Western world conveniences. A lot of the diaspora often fail to recognize how cushy their lifestyles are in the West.
Yep.
Only when arriving in Africa do they realize what they've taken for granted. Simple examples include basic road infrastructure with sidewalks. A lot of African countries may have tarred roads, but often don't have sidewalks.
I'm sorry, this is not for me, bro.
This means that walking from A to B often isn't an option. So you find yourself driving or taking taxis everywhere. Another example is online shopping. In the US, one can buy an item on Amazon using one-click checkout and it'll be with you later that day. E-commerce may well exist in Africa, but getting an item delivered to you may not be possible. This is because many parts of Africa don't have traditional addresses. The houses don't have names or numbers, and street names often don't exist.
Yeah, bro, this is not for me.
As a result, people often have to revert to providing landmark references, such as the yellow house opposite the post office next to the park.
I wanted to make one point also. It's like, and that's getting back to food or things you purchase. I'm noticing this is what I did in the States. When I got like we drink almond milk or certain dairy products or certain things, I was used to them lasting, once I opened them, like 9 days. Well, it's different here with the product we
Preservatives.
have. It lasts maybe 5. It says it on the carton, just like it does in the States.
Right.
But those are the things you have to look into, because when I first got here and I got the almond milk, I didn't think about it. I just started keeping it for the amount of days I was used to. And I said, oh, I need to read this and see what it says. And I'm realizing it's the less amount of days. And so those are the things you have to look at too.
It can also be processing. The processing like infrastructure it may not be at the same rate that you're used to very specifically. Where like in America, you may be able to get milk from the cow in the store probably within maybe 2 days, guys. It may take a little bit longer there. Like for example, guys, in Spain, right, where I live part-time, things are kind of like this the same way. Just keep this in mind, guys. I mean, like like nothing lasts in the refrigerator. The refrigerators are super small for a reason. They're really small. It would be almost like a RV refrigerator in America. Think about that for a second. That's the size of probably your average refrigerator. Why? You may ask. And it's almost exclusively because there's no real preservatives in anything, guys. Everything is all real and natural. Like you're kind of expected to go to the market maybe once or twice, 3 times a week, guys.
Things that maybe you were used to getting of certain products
Right.
that maybe
Butchered
have an
that word,
expiration
refrigerator.
date different. In the States, it may be different here. So it's just little.
For some folks, not having these Western conveniences is more important than they realized, and before long they start to miss the comforts of American living and end up moving back.
Yep.
Culture.
Yeah.
African Americans often erroneously believe that when they move to Africa, they'll fit right into the culture like a hand in a glove.
Bro, you're going to be called a kata like 17 times a day, bro. Get used to that. Specifically, if you go to West Africa, guys, you're going to be called a kata like at least 17 times. Listen, and it's not an okay word. Make sure you actually dig deep into the definition of that word, and you'll probably go home instantly.
This is very rarely the case. Although their ancestors may hail from the African country they have moved to, being so many generations removed from this country means that culturally they have very little in common with these.
Bro, you have nothing in common. You have literally like nothing in common. The color of your skin, sure, but other than that, nothing in common. Think about this here, guys. You're here because they didn't want you. All right? You're in the United States of America because you're the ones they threw away. You're the ones that they sold. Why are you coming back?
People.
That's basically
Don't be expecting grits and deep fried chicken in Ghana. There aren't going to be any gospel singers in Senegal. Many people in Africa have never heard of Steve Harvey and don't care.
That's a good thing.
The ones who try and adapt can sometimes make it work, but culture is a complex thing which is hard to articulate into words.
Right.
It's also a feeling, and sometimes that feeling for African Americans in Africa just isn't there.
Akata. I'm telling you. I hope this video doesn't get flagged. I hope that the computer that checks our words these days doesn't understand the meaning of that in completion, right? But just be fully aware, they don't like you.
Here in America, you have selected different types of foods. If you want Mexican, if you want Italian, if you want Jamaican, if you want all of these.
Bro, those accents are terrible. Don't do that again.
If you want Mexican, if you want Italian, if you want Jamaican, if you want all of these different types of foods.
Right.
When you get to Africa, those areas who have that, if they have that, are going to be tremendously high to eat at.
Lack of choice. America is perhaps more the land of plenty than the land of the free.
Yep.
You never have a lack of choice when making a decision in America. If you want to book a flight from New York to Los Angeles, you can choose from more than 6 different airlines.
Or more.
In most African countries, you may only have one airline to choose from. If you want to furnish a house or apartment, you have a cornucopia of choice when it comes to sofas, rugs, and tables and chairs. In Africa, this choice will most certainly be more limited. The lack of choice makes things more one-dimensional and also will invariably mean that prices on goods and services will be greater.
Then you want to go ahead and buy the items that you're so used to, whether it's dishwashing liquid, whether it is
the regular creature comforts,
clothing, whether it is, whether it's cleaning items, whether it is, the food, or whether any item that's got to be imported in, it is going to be a task on your pockets.
All in all, every country has its pros and cons. Through trial and error, many African Americans have found a new home in Africa. For some who have moved over there more flippantly, African living has often not met their expectations and they've ended up moving back to the States. The moral of this video is to do your homework and plan effectively before deciding to up and leave the US for Africa.
And guys, really quickly, this is not just Africa, just as a whole. Like, if you're an American, right, from the United States of America, or Canada mainly, if you go anywhere else, you're probably going to end up coming back, bro. Like, for example, guys, I lived outside of the United States for over a decade, like I stated here, guys, right? But the last 2 years, I just got sick of it, bro. I'm sorry. Listen, I understand fresh food, beautiful views, beautiful women everywhere in Spain, okay, in the south of Spain. Crazy, right? You walk down the street and I don't know, listen, people just don't like wearing shirts or tops on the beach. It's an interesting thing to encounter, guys, right? This place called Spain, the south of Spain. Andalusia, Costa del Sol, guys, right? Beautiful place. Check it out, right? But there's only this. Oh, sorry, what was that? Yeah, there's only so much of that you can take. Okay, there's only so much. Like, it just gets old. You miss everything, guys. Like, you miss your family. Your family's here, type of thing, guys. Right? You miss the food. You miss he's right here. The selection of things, guys. So I live in the mountains in Spain, and yeah, bro, like they have there's one grocery store, and it's tiny, extremely tiny. If you really want things, you should probably go out of the village, all right, for an actual selection. But luckily, it is very first worldy to a certain extent, guys, right? So you can kind of get anything. Amazon definitely works, okay? Absolutely. Only issue I definitely can tell you with Amazon is that it's not same day, right? But I can get it the next day. Like, if I order it at nighttime, I'm getting it in the morning, right? Type of thing. But in Atlanta though, bro, if I order it at 9 o'clock, it's coming by 3. I'm telling you guys, it's coming. Okay, it's coming the same day. I miss that. I miss these type of things, right? It's just the creature comforts that you miss from the United States of America. So, like, regardless of, again, whatever you may think America is, just spend 1 year outside of it, and you're going to be like, okay, I get it. I'm going to stop complaining. Richest country in the history of the earth, guys. And we're complaining? Go somewhere else for a year, all right? Enjoy the rest of your day, guys.